Everybody, welcome gamers across the entire world. Welcome to PM in the PM. Happy Elden Ring Eve. If you are not lucky enough to live in New Zealand, then guess what? Flights are very cheap right now. Just saying. But anyways, it is Elden Ring Eve, but this is PM in the PM. It is February the 24th, 2022. And thank you all for joining us. Myself, Pong Soul, one of your hosts, but my main man, my brother from another, Fun Speculation, Mav. How the heck are you doing, brother? What a week. What a week.
Yeah, it's an interesting week to say the least. Yeah, dude, I've just been hanging out, getting stuff done, playing games, and living the life, man. Yeah, I've been dealing with this back and forth FOMO for Elden Ring. Still the back of my brain and trying to fight that last little hurdle, but I've been enjoying the hell out of King of Fighters 15. And we've been iced in the last 2 days.
Oh boy.
Black
again?
ice. Yeah, again, dude. It's crazy, man. This is not normal behavior for North Texas. We should not be dealing with this. But we have been, and so school was canceled today. They said they're gonna go tomorrow and give it a shot. So we'll see. So I guess the roads are getting better, so we'll give that a shot. But other than that, man, just same old, dude. As always. Man. What about you, bro? What have you been playing? What have you been doing?
Well, back in my day, Mav, they said the second coming of the Ice Age was going to happen. So maybe they were right all along, and all this other garbage that they've come up with since that time, maybe the original scientists who said the Ice Age was coming, maybe that's actually what's happening here. Because, of course, I'm where I'm at. This is normal, but another day of snow that screwed up my whole drive home. But yeah, no, man. Otherwise, yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy week. Lots going on. I'm back into Cyberpunk completely. And now all of a sudden, I had stated ever since they announced that Elden Ring was going to be open world, I said that this was going to be my last Souls game that I try to really get into and actually make an effort. Because I've said for a while now that Souls games aren't for me. But when they said open world, and they started showing it off, I was like, okay, because I love everything about their games, everything except for the play style. So I jumped in. So I have it downloaded. I put out a tweet before we went live. I actually, again, you guys might ask how I know flights to New Zealand are cheap. Well, I am actually talking to you from New Zealand right now. So I've got it hopped up, ready to go. I'm on the character selection screen, and as soon as we get done here, I am going to jump into Elden Ring and see what I see. But everybody has been talking about how great this game is. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about it, but I can't wait to dive into that. Otherwise, it has been Cyberpunk, NBA 2K22 domination mode.
Yeah,
man, my team is looking so good, Mav. They finally gave away a locker code that was worth a damn. And I got a Opal Kyrie Irving out of it. So nice. Got my point, got a sweet deal in the auction on a Opal Gilbert Arenas. So that's my backcourt. Oh my God, man, it's playing a lot better now that I've actually got some decent people back there. I had decent people before, but Opal makes a difference. So yeah, no, that's all I've been doing really. Not a whole lot else. Dying Light 2. Stu and I hopped on again last weekend for a little bit, not as much as we did the previous week. But yeah, man, that's been it. Not a lot of time to dive in anything new. Like I said, Elden Ring now, that's going to be it, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot. So, but yeah, we had kind of crazy week overall. So, hey, everybody, we got some topics tonight, but before we get in that, let's shout out all these amazing people showing up in our chat early on here. Jasper, who admitted that he got FOMO and picked up Elden Ring. Way to go, Jasper. Debbie Downer, I can't wait to hear your take on it. Hopefully you'll say those 10s were fake and it should actually be a 3 because you are Debbie Downer. So I think that's what you're going to come with. Pyro M, good to see you. Tony Grasso, brother, always fantastic to see you. Who else we got here? Outbreak Podcast, of course. Dave is in the house. Good to see you, sir. My interview with him premiered this week. If you guys have not checked that out, again, it was pre-recorded, but he put it up this week on Wednesday, I believe it was. Go check that. Was it Thursday? God, man, this week
Wednesday.
is weird. Wednesday, because today is Thursday. I keep thinking today's Friday, but no, we don't do PM and PM on Friday. Anyways, go check that out over on Outbreak Podcast. Luis Jimenez, good to see you.
Luis Jimenez, come on, man. You Minnesotan?
I do it my way. Sorry. All right. Papa Woody, good to see you. Monster 530, always great to see you in here as well. So many awesome people. General Spartan showing up. Man, what a great week. So Mav, even on a slow news week, we are actually still getting some pretty darn interesting tidbits, right? Mm-hmm. So this week started. Do we want to do the headliner right now, or do you want to go to some of the other stuff? What do you think? Should we do the headliner?
Sure, why not? Let's go for it.
Let's go for the headliner, huh? All right, let's do the headliner. So earlier this week, great human being, Mr. Jason Schreier.
Oh, he's the best.
Of Bloomberg.
Yeah, great guy.
Great guy. Don't block me for saying that, please, Jason. I know you like the block button. Please don't block me. Great member of this community, Jason Schreier of Bloomberg and others. Kind of came out with some interesting inside information from Activision Blizzard, mainly Activision, of course, stating that Call of Duty was no longer going to be annual, that they, for 2023, were going to take a break, and that Modern Warfare 2, which is coming out this year, is going to carry them through. Obviously, they're working on Warzone 2, and it was also brought up that they are also working on another free-to-play style Call of Duty game, which they're going to be introducing as well. So, Mav, we here, after the acquisition was announced and everybody's been through the speculation, what are they going to do with Call of Duty? Is this going to, first, was it going to be multi-plat? What are they going to do? Are they going to keep it annualized? Are they going to pull some of the other studios off of it, which Phil kind of alluded to in some of his comments? Well, it seems, even though Jason Schreier that said this was independent decision outside of Microsoft's acquisition, that this was something that Activision had been talking about because the higher ups were afraid the annual edition of Call of Duty was cannibalizing themselves, right? That it was kind of eating into each one. As each one came out, it ate into the old ones because people were still playing the old ones, right? So now that we kind of got this word, and of course, Activision's come out and kind of poo-pooed it and said, well, that's not really the case. But if you read their comments, it's pretty ambiguous, dude. There's no real commitment that wasn't true. They just kind of were kind of upset that the word kind of got out there right now. But we had speculated for a long time on this, Mav. And, one of my key points with the acquisition when people were getting all uptight about whether or not Call of Duty would stay multi-plat was if they do take it to a non-annualized version and they give these devs, if it's Treyarch and let's just say it's Treyarch and Infinity Ward working on them, and it goes to a 2 to 3 year cycle, well, that doesn't make Call of Duty as important anymore, right? That's not, it's still important, but Warzone is going to be your constant moneymaker. And now we hear they might have another free type game as well. Seems to me they're kind of moving in a certain direction with Call of Duty, Mav, which we also talked about here. When this kind of came out, and I know, Schreier probably hit you up in the DMs before anybody else, and you guys probably had some back and forth on this because you guys are best friends. Yeah. So, what did you get out of this, Mav? What did you take away from this kind of, I guess we call it as a leak or whatever you want to say, a rumor at this point, because nothing officially has been announced. What do you think, Mav? Good, bad, indifferent?
I think that it's good. I've seen some doomsday scenarios out there, but not necessarily doomsday. People like giving giving their take on how much of a shift this is going to create in the industry. I'll say that. But I've also seen a lot of people in the past talk about, hey, these games need to stop being annualized, right? And this goes for a lot, even some of the sports games and some of these other type games that have been annualized. And having this three studio approach that they've had really hasn't been really working that well for them, because they've had like one good game, then the next game is like it's pretty good, and then they'll have a bad one, and they kind of just this rotation of like you never know what you're gonna get. It's almost been damaging to the brand a little bit. Whereas before even though they were still pumping out one every year, because the games were, I guess the more the technology gets out there, these games get bigger and bigger, and there's more tech behind them, they get more difficult, maybe, and take longer to make, right? So that's the problem they've had to face. That's why they went to that three studio approach. For me now, it looks like the way to go is maybe ease off of that, focus on your studios that are stronger, let them work longer on these games and put out high quality, right? So this year's Call of Duty should be one of those, because it's Infinity Ward's title, right? It's going to be the sequel to Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, the 2019 Call of Duty.
So dumb. They should have done something different. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. However, this is probably going to be the most hyped Call of Duty in a while, because Modern Warfare was so great. That 2019 game. People are still playing it today. In fact, a lot of people still prefer to play that one over last year's title or this year's, right? So I think this is going to be a really hyped version this year. But then we're going to see, okay, we're going to get a year off. It's going to be really interesting. And I think following Modern Warfare 2 is the right time to do it. Because just like before, you're going to give now Treyarch probably an extra year on this next Black Ops, I'm assuming, or something else. And now you can focus on, okay, if they go to every 2 years, guess what? That equates to you get a 4-year development cycle for each studio. And you're only using two major studios at that point, right? And you can use some support from some other studios, but you're not having to rely on every studio you having to get these games cranked out every year, so I think doing a every other year approach, which is what I'm hoping this could be alluding to, is the right move. I've seen the scenarios like that are saying that this is going to potentially hurt game sales in the premium model of what they're saying, and what they mean by premium. I misunderstood that at first, because I took it as a level of quality, but what they mean is like based on pricing structure, right? Of a premium priced title at a $70, $60 game model being ushered out sooner. However, because I've seen that take, but because Call of Duty has already been filled with microtransactions and all that kind of stuff anyway, I don't know if they'll do that with COD. I think they're still going to maintain the Warzone approach, and then also keep that regular model for the Call of Duty games every other year going forward. And I think moving away from that too much could potentially be damaging to the brand as a whole, right? So I think that's going to stick within the brand itself. Whether it's going to have an effect on other franchises and all that kind of stuff, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see, but overall, for us as gamers, I think this is the best thing, because it means we're going to get better games, right? What about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that a little bit, man, because that was an interesting DM conversation. Obviously, again, for anybody who doesn't know, go follow Matt Piscatella if you want some retail analysts. Okay, Matt Piscatella has been in the industry for a very long time in various positions. He does analytics now for the retail, pretty much brick and mortar, also digital stuff, but digital stuff is harder to track. But now he's an analyst. Matt with one T, by the way. Go follow him. But he put out some interesting tweets, and that's what Mav was talking about there, was that this, because Call of Duty is so gigantic and really is that yearly one of only a handful yearly releases that or I shouldn't say every, but let's say a majority of video game players looks towards at some point. And it's so huge that moving away from that annual sale will really impact the retail side of things. And what he's saying is that it will affect the customer's spending habits because they're not getting that yearly release that they always look forward to, that this could push them more into the war zone and adjust their spending habits to more of the games as a service type spending versus that one premium buy, which Mav just explained, that one $70 upfront buy that you get. Yes, they still have a lot of monetization, which we all know, obviously, but that one $70 monetization premium game buy each year goes away. They'll shift their spending habits more to digital. And what he was saying is this could accelerate that entire digital, the digital that we've been talking about. Digital's been taking over more and more and more and growing more and more and more. But he's saying that Call of Duty is so big that it could actually enhance that shift and make it even faster, that people really get into the normalcy of buying content digitally, and especially the monetization part of it, where you're spending the money inside of free-to-play games and games as a service versus just buying that premium package, that all-in-one type game, that campaign, multiplayer, and if the option to buy skins or whatever else. But he thinks it'll speed up the process of people shifting their mindset to more of, hey, when's that next free-to-play game coming out? I kind of like this model, right? So that's a very interesting take on it. And I again, this is going to be a wait and see thing. There's no crystal ball. We always jump into speculation town and try to look through the crystal ball, but Call of Duty does have that much influence. But I think what's really interesting, Mav, is that is exactly why this deal made so much sense for Microsoft and Xbox. That whole entire model and process fits directly in line with what they are trying to do with Game Pass and this whole subscription service, right? That's everything they're looking for in those types of games. It doesn't mean single player games are going to go away. It doesn't mean campaigns are going to go away. It doesn't mean any of that. But this specific title, being Call of Duty, being what it is, the juggernaut in this industry, it aligns itself perfectly with what the future that Xbox and Microsoft are seeing and have been moving towards for a considerable amount of time now. So I think that is a huge indicator of why this acquisition is so important, why Microsoft will be willing to concede Call of Duty remaining multi-plat, because again, if you're not going to do an annual release, it's not as important in the grand scheme of the money numbers, right? The numbers at the end of the year, because that was everything to Activision. But now underneath Microsoft, yeah, it's big, but it's one of 40, 50 games coming out that we know of, right? It's not like the be all end all. It's not like Microsoft closes its doors if it doesn't have that yearly release from Call of Duty. They're still going to be soaking in money from Warzone. They're still going to be soaking in money from whatever this new free-to-play model is. But let me ask you this, man, because I've had this thought now. Could this signal, and I'm not talking about the next couple, because obviously we're getting Modern Warfare 2 and then whatever's after that. But could this signal a shift where is it possible that we just get to a point where they have multiplayer and then Warzone as free-to-play models like Halo Infinite is right now? And they just have those two as the free-to-play models, and then we just get a campaign every couple of years. And it's no longer just a multiplayer. They just keep updating the maps on the multiplayer and the Warzone, right? They just keep updating both of those continuously. They both become games of service, free-to-play models.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think both ways have their pluses and their minuses, because they
Yeah.
already are kind of starting to do that in Warzone a little bit, because they have released some other modes and stuff within Warzone and some other maps as well that have opened up Warzone to be more than just a battle royale, right? And so that's already been interesting within that, and I think that's going to continue to happen, right? But there's something still about the uniqueness of each of the Call of Duty multiplayer games in and of themselves, right?
Right.
Where they have different systems in place for that's how they've always really evolved, right? To where what they become, because they're always pushing the next thing within those titles. The 10-point system, the loadouts, you got the perks, you got the kill streaks, and all of these things have evolved over time. And then you've had your different franchises, even within Call of Duty,
Right.
like the Black Ops, the Modern Warfares, and all these other ones that have different names that have really done things in unique ways. Now, if you could recreate that somehow
Right.
within Warzone, then I
Yeah.
would be all down for it. But if not, I would hate missing out on the um, difference of the experiences that we get within the Call of Duty uh, games that we do get with multiplayer, because they all have, even though they feel the same, very similar, they are very different also, right? And like Black Ops is very different than Modern Warfare, you
Well,
know?
let me throw this at you, Matt, because you're talking
Yep.
about this right here, right now. What happens if they just did it like seasonal, where they rotated the maps packs in and out, and one season was
Right.
Black Ops, one
See,
season was Modern Warfare.
and with that works where it is different for me is if the gameplay itself feels the same.
Right, right. I'm
Right?
saying, what happens if they keep them unique? Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
exactly get what you're saying, but just make it like seasonal, but each one is still that unique feeling, and it just
Yeah.
constantly
It's changing
swaps
and
in and out so
evolving.
that people get. Look, that means if it's free to play, people can invest what they want. So if you're not a Black Ops player and it happens to be Black Ops season, right? Then you're in Warzone, or you're going to play the campaign, or you're on to one of however many million other
Right.
games are out there, right? But then as soon as something else shows up, let's say World War II shows up, all of a sudden you're back into it again, and you can invest into that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they rotate in and out like that. It would be almost like a constant refresh where people are getting something different, where it's always
Yeah.
feeling kind of new, right?
I like that idea. You
Yeah,
could even have like within, okay, so let's say you launch Call of Duty World or whatever the hell they call it.
yeah.
Call of Duty, and
Call
then
of Duty
within it
Infinite. Let's
you
go.
got
Yeah.
Black Ops Island over here, and then you got like
Yep.
Modern Warfare Zone, and then you got like the future of combat or some
Yep.
stupid shit. Like, and then you click on each one, and you get catapulted into each experience. But within each of those experiences, they're updated frequently, or like
Yeah.
with every year they get a major update as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Right.
that I could really see being something that's cool. And the benefit to that is, even though it's seasonal, you're still going to build upon content and maintain more content to give more variety. But within the
Correct.
context of, you're always going to have your main playlist that's going to serve as the main hub for players. So you're not splitting up the player base, right? Because
That's the most important thing, right? Because
right, you can't like
can't
have
do
like
that.
50 different things for people to go do, and then you're splitting up, and then there's going
Right.
to be some dead lobbies, and you know what I mean.
Yeah. No.
So
No.
um, focus it. Yeah, there's going to be interesting to see how it all evolves, because the models of game is shifting. Period. Anyway, right? Um, so I think it'll take some time for them to get to that point to where people are accepting of that. But I what I hope is, if that does happen, it actually benefits the campaigns, because at that point, the most of the focus of the those teams is purely on a story and a campaign, and you're gonna be able to make as high quality as possible. And then you still have the multiplayer teams that are always working on that, right?
Right. Right.
So at that point, you're more isolated as, okay, you guys do your thing. This guys are gonna go here do their thing. They're doing their thing. You're doing your thing. Get it done. You know what I mean? And I think the development cycle and how you allocate your assets for development is the key aspect to making all of that stuff work properly. So we'll see, man. It's gonna be interesting. I think Game Pass is going to introduce a lot of different aspects to this that we haven't seen, because Call of Duty is so big that even regardless of this the $70-$60 game model, moving on from that, they may be moving on from that anyway if they just decide to subscribe to Game Pass and live and get every Call of Duty that way as well.
Yeah.
Right? So at that point, they're always going to have every Call of Duty automatically when it releases. And depending on how much that Game Pass subscription grows will also be dependent on what happens with Call of Duty, I think, within Game Pass and within the structure of it. So if you go to like 100 million subscribers, you know, that's pretty substantial. And that's going to change a lot of things, you know.
Changes everything.
Yeah.
At that point, you're talking about roughly $1 billion a month at that point, right?
Crazy,
$1 billion a month in revenue.
Yeah.
You know what you can do with $12 billion a year just in
guaranteed
subscription
money.
revenue. Yeah, just in subscription revenue, not anything else. You're gonna have going on.
And all the microtransactions, all the ongoing services, all the game purchases that people are still buying, all of that stuff. Yeah,
correct.
Dude.
It changes in everything. I guess the most exciting thing for me is this kind of falls in line. And again, it's always hard because everybody just takes what's front facing, and a lot of people have a hard time kind of projecting out and looking at things. And that's why I love doing this, especially with somebody like you, Map, that, and do it with Steel on Saturdays too, is talking to people who have the vision or the view. And we do this on a lot of shows to look at everything that's going on. But now you can kind of see what this makes sense. Even if this, let's say this has nothing to do with Microsoft. Let's take it as assume that the face value, what Schreier's saying is true, that this had nothing to do with the acquisition. This was straight up Activision internally having that hard internal reflection that EA just had with Battlefield, supposedly, right? Mm-hmm. But having that moment and figuring this out, let's say that they were going to do this, but that's why Phil and everybody would have seen this when they started the acquisition process, right? They would have seen the roadmap. They would have had that internal knowledge like, hey, Activision's already moving in this direction. Boy, oh boy, does that fit exactly what we're doing in Game Pass. But then Phil can come out and make those statements so early, right after the acquisition, about talking to those other studios and seeing what they wanted to do. He already knew that they were going to free up resources, right? So again, even if Microsoft had nothing to do with this, was Activision, Phil would have known that at this point. Mm-hmm. And so then he can come out, and that's why it was crazy, because it was crazy to me how quickly he was doing that with his "let's go" comment, right? That he was excited about all the IP, the dormant IP that they were now going to get from this deal, and in that same section of comments saying, I can't wait to sit down with the other studios and talk to them about and see what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And so this all lines up perfectly and makes 100%. Just lost my train of thought, but anyways, makes perfect sense. It makes 100% perfect sense that this is why he had those comments right out the gate, because he knew this is what was coming down the road. Mm-hmm. And that's the best part. We talked about it on here extensively, man. We've talked about it on other shows, that's where the excitement comes in, that if these other studios are freed up, the Toys for Bobs, the Raven Softwares, those get freed up to go back into the back catalogs and really dive in and pick out some favorite franchises that maybe we haven't seen in a long time and bring them back, or maybe start on new IP. Right. That's where this deal gets really good. That's the biggest thing I took away, that those two things right there. Those were just kind of my early thoughts about this when Schreier kind of talked about it. I've been thinking about it this week of what it was going to do in the long run and how it could evolve, because that doesn't necessarily mean what Schreier is talking about. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the final form. Right. And then if Microsoft gets a hold of them, the acquisition goes through and they really sit down and really work out the details and really hone in on those free-to-play models and where they want to take this with Game Pass. Well, even if it's still over on PlayStation, even if they put it on Switch, it's not going to matter. The benefits are all going to be on our side of the table, like we talked about. And I think that's when we kind of see these decisions finally being made. But I think it's a good kind of guess at where things could go down the road, considering everything that we know. On that
and
same
this deal's going through everything I keep seeing it lately.
Yeah.
It like even if they have to make concessions or whatever, which is people are talking about on a lot right now.
That's what I was just going to bring up.
Yeah, Michael Pachter.
Pachter,
his thing is, man, I think even with that kind of stuff that's out there, that is more thinking for me that this is going to go through, actually, as opposed to I see some people taking it the other way, right?
No. What what Matt's talking about is Tim Dog was actually somebody else had tweeted out, but Tim Dog had retweeted it. Michael Pachter, who used to be big time. Like when back in the day,
this is GameTrailers.com. He was on GameTrailers.com a lot with the segment.
Okay, GameTrailers.com. But Michael Pachter back in the day was like the guy that everybody went to for the crystal ball back in the day. Mm-hmm. Well, again, anytime you go in speculation town, no matter how smart you are, and there's no doubt about it, Michael Pachter is an extremely intelligent man. Anytime you go into speculation town, there's a good chance you could be wrong about a lot of things.
Yep.
Okay, because you're guessing. Michael Pachter became the voice because he's very intelligent. I forget he's an attorney, I think that's his background. I can't remember. He's not originally.
I think he used to do, at least I don't know what he does now, but what he used to do was he gave like analytics to like businesses,
he was analyst.
To businesses to make decisions on where the market's going. Like he was a market,
right. And he was never specifically in video games, but he started early on when video games started getting big. He jumped in to the scene and really put himself out there. So a lot of people went to him, but he had some very bad takes where he said there would be no more consoles like after the 360.
He's not always right.
There was some really, really bad takes that he had. So he kind of, and of course, the rise of social media, the rise of other voices really kind of just, he's no longer as prominent as he once was, but people still do listen to him. He's still got a show, like Matt just said, GameTrailers.com and stuff. He still does things out there, but there's other voices you can go listen to, and a lot of people have drifted away from him.
Well, that's where he was back in the day, actually. Like GameTrailers.com was like they shut down several years back, but he had his own. Like this was like Brandon Jones and Kyle Bossman and all these guys were on Game Trailers, and they had all these reviews and stuff. But they had started doing these like little segment shows, right? And he had like Pachter's Corner or something like that on there, and this was like a long time. This was like 10 years ago or more.
I was gonna say, it was a very long time ago.
It's crazy.
But he came out today with some big comments, really doubling down what he believes will happen with the government review of this acquisition. And he stated that, and he said, you can mark this and come back to it when I'm right. But really what he stated was that the concessions are going to be that the government's going to approve this deal. Okay. That was first and foremost. The government will approve this deal. But those concessions are going to be that Game Pass cannot increase in price for 5 years. Okay. I can see it. That's good for us if they have to put that as a guarantee. I mean, that's good for consumers. Yeah. I get it. Okay. That's fine. He also said that Xbox, Microsoft was going to have to give concessions that every single game that has appeared on another console previously, and he specifically named PlayStation, in the future would also have to appear there. So any franchises that appeared. And he also went on to include the ZeniMax deal. Now, people are up in arms because people say, well, that deal's approved. They can't go control that. They can't go do this. Look, first of all, you guys don't understand government yet. You guys don't understand politics. The DOJ and the FTC can do whatever the hell they please. Okay. This is the reality of the situation. Whether it's right or wrong, Microsoft can fight it. There's litigation they can go through. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, they can require them to do whatever they please. Okay. So he's saying that they're going to go back and say, yeah, that ZeniMax deal, you know, that Elder Scrolls game, you know, that Fallout game, yeah, those gotta go over to PlayStation as well.
Right. And I think it
Okay.
would be in a roundabout way, as in the government's not
Yeah,
even really considering that. But what they would be thinking is, okay, all franchises that have been multi-platform need to stay multi-platform. And
correct.
because those other deals even already happened, they would have to, at that point, because they would have to potentially sign this concession, right?
Yep.
That
Yep.
would retroactively include these other franchises that have been multi-platform franchises as
Correct.
well, right?
And
So,
that's where the $1 million attorneys get involved, right?
right. And
And
Hogue
get
Law made some
really,
comments on this too.
yeah, yeah. And Hogue Law jumped in on this because Tim Dog had wrapped him up in there. And
Mhm.
I'll read Hogue's responses real quick. So real quick, Hogue had said, what was the 10-year one? I can't remember what the 10-year thing that he said too.
The 10-year, I
Microsoft would.
think, was the Xbox not going up in price, potentially.
Oh yes,
Which, if that's what
Xbox
it
not
is,
going up.
that's not a problem.
Yeah,
It's not going to go up in price in 10 years
games
anyway.
games could not go up in price for 10 years. I think is what it was.
Okay. Well, even if
I
that's the
think it was
case,
something.
I don't think they
Yeah,
want their games to go up anyway.
yeah,
Like, so.
exactly. So no big deal, right? So and again, good for the consumers at the end of the day if they agree to this kind of thing. Now again, this is Pachter just simply viewing the crystal ball, using what he knows to guess at what the government's going to require of Microsoft Xbox to get this deal go through. But Richard Hogue, great member of the community, Hogue Law, if you've probably seen him on ILP or a million different shows, Boom's got him on now from time to time. Look, dude's awesome. He does videos all the time on video games, mergers and acquisition attorney. He knows this stuff. This is what his whole entire career is. So it's always good to go listen to him. But he jumped into the tweets and said, Tim had tagged him in and said, what do you think? And he said, well, 5 and 10 years is way too long for Xbox to agree to without going to the mattress, in my opinion, meaning fighting it, right? Going to litigation and saying, no, we're not just going to simply agree to 5 and 10-year rules. But Game Pass pricing is the right place for a potential settlement to be aimed if the FTC decided to go that route. It's certainly not anything I would bet on, however. And then Tim asked him about the IPs and said, well, what about the IP and forcing it to go multi-plat everywhere? And Hogue said, well, the assumption should be that Microsoft will fight anything they weren't going to do anyway and settle on anything else. Generally, though, Microsoft will fight for autonomy and against things that take it away, especially for assets not related to the merger being reviewed. So what Hogue's saying is that if they weren't going to concede and make those games multi-plat anyways, they might fight some of that, right? So we've already heard them come out and say Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles will remain on other platforms, right? We heard them say that. Now people have questioned, well, is that wink wink? Is, there's a lot of loopholes. Is that future games or is that current stuff like Warzone? Look, I think Microsoft is being flat out upfront right now. You've heard our opinion on this, that they're telling you to your face that yes, a lot of these games are going to remain multi-plat. So some of this would fall into that. But also Hogue is saying, but if they try to push the Bethesda stuff and say, well, Elder Scrolls and Fallout have to go multi-plat, that's when Microsoft will come back and say, whoa, 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 whoa. That has nothing to do with the deal being reviewed on the table right now. We're going to fight you and push back on that one. So that's what Hogue's opinion is. Again, he's a mergers and acquisitions attorney. Mav, go ahead, brother. What do you think on all this? Do you think anything differently? I know you've already jumped in a couple times, but what are you thinking about this stuff?
I mean, it's a very strong opinion that he's putting out, but again, Hogue says he wouldn't bet on it as well. So it's really going to be just one person's opinion, and you could take a lot of very intelligent people in a room that have a lot of experience with this and sit them down, and you could probably get a lot of different opinions from a lot of them, right? Like, you could probably get 10 different takes on exactly how everything's going to go down. However, he was very adamant that he believes what the consent and concessions, or I forget what he called it at the beginning, like they were going to receive this, and it was going to basically say, yes, we approve you to do the deal, but here's the concessions you need to make, right? And you're a mute, bro.
They were going to consent to the acquisition but here's the concessions. That was
Right,
the two
exactly.
words that he used.
So he
Yep,
was
yep, yep.
adamant that they are going to receive this, and probably soon, is kind of what he took it as. And those concessions were going to be those 3 sticking points. Now he was adamant about this. I don't know how he came up with those personally. I don't know if it's from experience of things that are similar, but this is kind of also very unprecedented, like with this industry. So I don't
Very
know if
unprecedented.
there's anything you could look to that happened in the past within the games industry that would lead you to conclude this. So it makes you think, did he hear something, or does he have a connection within the Federal Trade Commission or something that they're telling him that this is probably going to happen, or who knows exactly what? Maybe there's rumblings out there in that space that's kind of where this is headed. I don't know, but I don't know where he came up with the 5 and 10 year thing. Um, I as far as the language about games remaining multi-platform, that seems almost believable to me, but that would be because at that point I would think it's just an oblivious thing to the Federal Trade Commission about the past acquisitions and the past franchises that have been multi-platform that exist on Xbox without any consideration of those. I think that would be a potential language thing that would have to be hashed out and negotiated upon and possibly settled upon. If that's
Yeah.
just my personal opinion. The Game Pass pricing aspect, I like what Hogue said there, that could be potentially a settlement thing as well. If that was a sticking point for them, they could go into it and be like, okay, well, we agree to not raise the price for 2 years or something like that, and then to get the deal to go through. So all of these things, what a lot of the analysts that have been looking at this to begin with have been trying to tell us that, hey, this is probably going to go through, but there's also probably going to be some things that they're going to have to sign off on, and there may be some back and forth on this as well. So this is kind of the start of the talk of this now, right? Is we're seeing these things presented in a way from somebody who's saying this is going to happen. We don't know.
No.
It's just his thought process that he believes this is what's going to happen. But if now we have some actual sticking points because he gave some examples, right?
Right. Right.
So because
Correct.
we have some examples now, it's like, okay, how do we feel about this? What do you think Microsoft's going to do? Personally, for me, all 3 of those things, I don't care. They don't affect me in any kind of way. I'm saying Microsoft, just check, check, check. Good for you, good for me. We all win. Let's go, gamers. However, I do know that would be a lot of people in the Xbox community that would be very upset about the fact that Starfield could now, or not Starfield, but Elder Scrolls
Nope.
6 and Fallout could
Yep.
potentially be multi-plat in the future. Quake, Wolfenstein, Doom.
Well, that's the question, as far like how far back. That would be my other question. How far back do they go
Yeah.
with those like IP that's been dormant? Are you saying that has to, just because it appeared 10 years
Right.
ago on a PlayStation 3? Like we that's that would be the, and like I said, that's where those $1 million attorneys come in, right? That's when it's like, okay, wait. What do you guys mean here? How many loopholes can we put in here? Right. And how can we limit what you're talking about scope wise? Because you're setting a big precedent, like you said, Mav, that other acquisitions, whether Sony makes them down the road, Nintendo ever winds up doing something on Amazon, or somebody else comes in and makes a big acquisition like that. Well, this is a setup for that, right? So they're going to have to follow these same type of rules. So Microsoft and Xbox are going to definitely want to set those rules the right way and the most beneficial for themselves for right now, so that they make sure that precedent is so wide, such a wide scope that all of a sudden any acquisition, well, the company's forced to make games for everybody no matter what at the end of the day. That you don't want that, right? You still want to have some autonomy, which is what Hogue said.
Right. And so that's where the language is. So at that point, if you're Xbox and you're Microsoft, you just have them make all new IP constantly and then start phasing out old IP. I mean, that's easy ways around this, you know what I mean? But like you're purchasing them for IP as well. So I think that there's going to be a lot of interesting effects from these deals in the gaming space. And also, I think that even with these concessions that they're asking for, doesn't mean they have to be just signed and approved and let's just get it done. There will most likely be, like what Hogue said, negotiating, going back and forth settlements on those, right? And that is probably expected also I would assume from the FTC and stuff like that. So for me, this is promising in the aspect that he believes they're going to get this soon.
Oh yeah.
So if they get this soon, that speeds up a timetable potentially of having this deal complete.
Yep, by the end of the year is what I said. What the original goal is, right? It would be to have it done before holiday season, to be able to announce Game Pass, everything from Activision Blizzard coming into Game Pass that possibly can come in there right before holiday season 2022. That's a huge boon. New Call of Duty Game Pass holiday season 2022, right? That would be a huge boon. Aaron Greenberg came out this week too and had put out a tweet because somebody had asked him about, I don't know if he was doing an interview or what, but he had been asked if he could talk about that stuff. He said, there's, I can't say anything much, but what I can tell you is that we got a lot of cool things coming from we got a lot of cool things coming soon, is what he said. So I think there's a lot of high hope.
Okay, so that Aaron Greenberg comment, right? So
yeah.
Like soon is
soon. Yeah.
That's interesting. Like now, what does he mean by soon? Because he said embargo too.
Right.
Which means that it's already a deal.
Yeah.
If it's an embargo, that means it's a deal that's already signed and they just can't speak on it, which is different than if it's a deal that's not approved yet for an acquisition purposes. Then there's no embargo because there's no contract regarding just that specifically. That's under like NDA, right? So if this is like done with the backwards compatibility thing, when did that take place, right?
Right.
Man, it's a lot of interesting things going, and I can't wait to see, because was he just talking about, like, he's talking about all Activision Blizzard titles, right?
Correct.
Man, do you think we're gonna have a good E3 this year, or not E3, but summer of announcements?
Yeah, summer. Yeah, because there's no law that says that they can't cut a deal with each other. There's no law preventing it, right? I mean, it has to be a square deal. I mean, they can't say we'll give you $1 for all the Call of Duty titles and Game Pass, right? They can't be something like that, but that's why you have $1 million attorneys. So you can still do legit deals as if Activision Blizzard is still going to be Activision Blizzard down the road, right? So they could cut a deal. Now, whether or not you're getting a favor or whatever the case may be, because you're, trying to acquire them, well, that's hearsay. So if you cut a regular business deal with these guys,
that matches the other deals you made with other publishers, because that's something that they will look at, right?
Because they have to, because Activision Blizzard is required by law to continue on as if this acquisition does not go through, because they have to protect their investors. By law, they still have to be doing what's best for the company and in turn for the investors. That is a law. So if they can turn around and say, no, Microsoft just handed us this giant bag to bring all this stuff to Game Pass, well,
we weren't doing anything with it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, and again, from Microsoft's point of view, if you believe the acquisition's going through, well, you're just paying yourself at the end of the day, because eventually that's all going to be coming back to you, right? So I understand it sounds a little under the table-ish, but legitimately by how the law works, that's how it can all play out. So maybe Greenberg was alluding to the fact that there are actual deals in place to bring that stuff sooner than later, even if the acquisition does take into next year and they can't get it done, that we're going to see Activision stuff come on over to Game Pass or whatever the case may be before then. So there's a lot going on here. I will make this last point, Mav. If you got anything else to add, let me know. The thing is even if all these titles, let's say they concede, and Mr. Kima, I saw your comments in there. Appreciate you jumping in here, brother, and talking about what Satya said, and we're not going to he believes that they don't have to give up any concessions. I totally get that. And that's Satya talking, but they are volunteering. They're volunteering some concessions already kind of up front, right? To kind of get ahead of it. So yeah, I'm sure internally they would love to have zero concessions be put on them by the government. But let me tell you something, they're going to negotiate. They may even go to litigation if some of it's ridiculous. However, whatever they have to do, they're going to get this deal done. Because again, this is not a short-term deal. This is 20 years. No matter what they concede now, what they see that this deal is going to bring 20 years from now is so much more. They don't care. Okay, they're going to get this deal done, but I do understand that Satya has said he doesn't believe there are going to be any concessions. I totally agree with that. But I will say this: if it winds up where all these other older IPs, established IPs that have been on other platforms remain multi-plat, yeah, like you said, Matt, there's going to be a lot of people in this community upset to not have those bragging rights. But I will actually be kind of even, I wouldn't say more excited, but I'm going to look at what that could mean if those concessions are given, Mav.
Yeah.
Do you think Microsoft and Xbox, when they have all that talent sitting underneath that umbrella with Activision Blizzard, are just going to sit back and be like, yeah, just carry on, keep putting out these established IP nonstop on all the platforms? No, I think personally would push Xbox Phil and his team to really dig into those teams and say, okay, who wants to create new teams, or who can we pull off these other projects, and what new IP can we go ahead and start making? Yeah. Because all new IP is going to be exclusive, right? I think it would actually push them a little bit more in that direction if they conceded that these older ones had to go, because
just keep a couple of those titles. Like, you got your COD, you got, that's all that Activision's making anyway right now, pretty much. So that's easy, just one thing, right? And then Blizzard, you have a couple, so
exactly, no exactly. But I think it'll be good overall, Mav. Like you said, it doesn't matter to me either way. Understand, again, people's feelings. Sony seems to have gotten away with a lot with their money hatting all these years. Everybody in the Xbox community had to sit through last generation and watch Sony kind of dominate everything. There's been a lot of that. There's a lot of personal feelings involved here, but from a business standpoint, from a customer standpoint, what I'm going to get out of the deal is simply fantastic. And I see what I believe to be Xbox's vision, and I'm all for it. Okay, I'm all for it because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to wind up with so many freaking games coming to Game Pass, new IP, old IP, doesn't matter. I'm going to be getting all those for one monthly price, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm excited as all get out. I don't care. And they're going to have so much talent in this pool. Bro, they can make anything they want to. They're going to be able to make any type of game, any type of IP. It's not going to matter. Like it doesn't matter what Sony does anymore from a money handing standpoint. They're just gonna be able to create their own game. Not that it'll be a success, but they'll be able to create their own game, as we've talked about before. They're insulating themselves, and I'm happy about that. So yeah, no, great discussion, man. Oh God, what a way to start, man! Out of the park, bro. Hour. Look at that. You just knocked that one.
One thing while we're on this subject, because it really fits in with what we're talking about. We had a question earlier from Pyro Mad, or M-A space D, I don't know. Pyro Madi or Pyro Mad, I don't know. But shout out to you, Pyro. Says, at Pong Soul and at Fun Speculation, what do you guys think of the idea of having Beanox create an Xbox kart racer for Xbox with 30 plus Xbox related characters and vehicles like Crash Team Racing? What do you think?
Oh, bro, I love it. I'm not a kart racing fan, but I don't care. I want games for everybody, so I don't care. Make it. It's perfect. I get exactly what everybody talks about when they talk about kart racers, and why, with all this IP, all these iconic figures that Xbox now has access to, why would you not do a Smash Brothers style fighter? Why would you not do a kart racer? Why? There's no reason not to use it. It's just another way to advertise your IPs. And if you create something really great, guess what? Be a lot more people jumping in to play with IPs that maybe they'd never experienced before, just because of those characters. We've seen it in Fortnite. It works. We've seen it with Smash Brothers and what they've done over there. Bro, there's no reason Microsoft and Xbox should not have their own. Mav, do you disagree?
No, I think they should have been doing this a long time ago. Like, they should have actually started their own more family friendly type brands that could sustain themselves alongside all the other stuff that they've been doing. You could have a couple dev studios that only make that kind of stuff, right? They kind of had that with Rare when they tried to do a bunch of Connect things, but you were forcing Rare to do stuff that they didn't really want to do. Also, there's a lot of studios out there that love making these kind of games, right? You look at the team that's close by to me, actually, that made the Super Lucky's Tale, and all those games, right? You got games like Beanox, or a lot of these guys that make these kart racers and family friendly stuff. I would love to see that because I know it's something that could be special and unique in the Xbox ecosystem. Even though there's others out there, you have a lot of IP and a lot of characters that are well known and beloved by a lot of fans that you could do a lot more with in these other scenarios. So it doesn't have to take anything away from, like, if you put Master Chief in a cart, it doesn't take anything away from Halo, but it
Oh,
introduces that to like a young audience in a fun way, right? It's made for it, Marcus Phoenix and or Locust, driving in, like, you could do lots of stuff.
yeah,
Arbiter and a
those
ghost.
those family friendly IP. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they look family friendly to them in that scenario. You know what I mean? Kart racer.
Mom, I played Marcus in the cart and I won. Can I go play Gears of War?
I have a chainsaw on the front of my cart with Marcus Phoenix. They call it a Lancer. They call it a Lancer.
There's red paint everywhere when I hit somebody.
I think it's got room, man. I think they could do some fun things, dude. Arbiter and a ghost is an easy one. Let's put that in there. You get, or maybe you use a grunt. Put a grunt and a ghost and make him say stupid little silly things while he's driving.
Oh, heck yeah. The grunts would be hilarious in a kart racer, all the things they could say. No, it just makes too much sense. Again, I think that we all want this stuff. We can all see all of these IPs that they can create. Let's just realize it was just 4 years ago, less than 4 years ago, that Phil really took over and started changing the philosophy. That's less than a normal, that's like around the same time or even less than a normal AAA dev cycle, right?
Yeah.
And we're saying, why don't we have all this stuff already? I think they're just coming to grips with how big and how much talent they have in all these studios and all these IP, that they're really coming to grips with what they can do. And it's going to take them a while to really sit down and figure out a great roadmap for all this and really lock people in and figure out what studios can do what studios want to do what studios do we have to go out and find to do this. And I think they're still in that process because they're still in acquisition mode. They're still in growth mode right now.
Yeah.
So I think that we're going to get, I think that from Phil's standpoint, him being a gamer, all the stuff he's talked about, we're going to get pretty much all the stuff we kind of fantasize about and sit here and speculate about. We're going to get a lot of it. Okay. Just because Phil understands and Phil gets it and knows what the community is kind of looking for. I just think it's going to take some time. And I know Xbox community has been asked to be patient for a very long time. And I get that. But we're in the meantime, we're going to have so many games to play. It's not going to be funny. And then all of a sudden one day they're going to just come out and announce a kart racer, or they're going to come out and announce a Smash style fighter. We're going to be like, oh yeah. Oh, great. Finally. Yes. But we're not even going to realize because it's going to fly by with all the stuff that we're playing once they get on this roll. So great question though. Love that. Thanks for getting involved, Chad. Appreciate it. Well, man, let's talk about this then. We're just on Xbox kind of devs and everybody underneath their umbrella and all this talent. Well, let's talk about this, Mav. Jeff Grubb. Grubb. He's coming through. He's starting to ramp up for his games mess, right? His E3 games mess, all the stuff that he does leading up to that time of the year. He's starting to ramp up a little bit here.
He's usually spot on, man. His stuff he puts out there is crazy.
Yeah.
Like he'll predict something that's about to 10 months in advance. Insane.
Right. Correct. Well, yeah. And Elden Ring was the famous one that everybody holds over him like he got it wrong. And he's like, look, they were supposed to show it. They pulled it. Nothing I could do about it. Right. Yeah. So, but Grubb, awesome dude. Comes up with a lot of great tidbits. Him and Jez are two of the best in the business when it comes to this stuff. Special Nick is in there as well. Look, Grubb throughout on his show, Grubb Snacks. This little piece of information. He said that word is internally at Microsoft that the talks. Now, let's be clear here. Grubb is not saying this is already in production or in development or any of that kind of stuff. But the talks have started. The words have been uttered. Fallout New Vegas 2, Mav. Fallout New Vegas 2 has been uttered underneath the home of the giant green X. Because, of course, as we all talked about, this was one of the first things that we speculated on, Mav, when the ZeniMax acquisition was announced, even before it was complete. When we talked about how great it would be, all these teams teaming up, you got Bethesda, obviously, Fallout creator, well, not creators, but you know what I'm saying, the ones that took Fallout to the next level. And then you've got Obsidian now underneath the umbrella, who created what some in the Fallout fandom would consider the best Fallout ever created, despite even having more bugs than a normal Bethesda game. Fallout New Vegas 2, which to me is my personal favorite Fallout, or Fallout New Vegas 1, which is my personal favorite. But now, Mav, some of that fantasy that we were just talking about, like I said, I think they're just getting their foothold, right? They're just figuring out how to do this, how to manage all this talent. But things are already settling down on the ZeniMax side because of how close the relationship was. Mav, did you have some heart palpitations when you heard that Grubb said the words Fallout New Vegas 2 had been uttered, and there had been some initial talk about potentially bringing a sequel to one of the most beloved Fallout titles of all time, with both Bethesda and Obsidian in-house underneath the same roof, water under the bridge for all their bad kind of blood they had there for a little bit? What do you think, Mav?
Yeah, it would be awesome because it would probably also be the best Fallout game that Obsidian, or that it would be one of the best Fallout games ever made if it happens, right? Fallout New Vegas for me was the most fun Fallout that I've played, right? It was kind of a little bit more on the silly side at times, right? But it also added a lot of character to it. And even though when I played Fallout 3, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I was really into it and I got really invested. And remember when Fallout 3 ended, there was really no end game and it kind of just ended, right? Fallout New Vegas was the first one in this new era of Fallout anyway that has had an end game where you just kept playing and you got to keep going and just do whatever the hell you want and live in this world. So it got played a lot more, I think, than Fallout 3 did, right? Which was actually Bethesda's game, right? Obsidian back in the day was always like one of these studios that was hired pretty much to make sequels, like these quick turnaround sequels, right? They did Neverwinter.
They made some of the better games.
they made Neverwinter Nights 2.
Yep.
Back in the day, they made Fallout New Vegas. They made Knights of the Old Republic 2,
which is my favorite. Yep.
So, even though some of these didn't score as high as the originals, they were also some of the most beloved from some of the fans. Mm-hmm. And Fallout New Vegas is one of those games, because if you look back at the scores, I don't think it reviewed as high as Fallout 3 or Fallout 4. But everybody thinks that when they talk back about their memories of playing these Fallout games on the 360, everybody talks about New Vegas, right?
Correct.
Because I think it had a lot of the most memorable moments and a lot of the most fun, the conversations between us all about all the crazy stuff that was going on in the game, and it was just a blast. So if they're able to revisit that, but have not a sequel for higher budget, right, which is what they used to be.
Correct.
A sequel for higher budget is what Obsidian used to have, right? Here's our existing tools. Turn this into something. Get it out within 2 years or a year. You know what I mean? And that's what they did. This will be something special if they make it. But the question is, man, how are they going to fit this in? Because now the other possibility that this is even being discussed right now, because I believe Grubb that it's in discussion, because it just has made sense. Like we talked about this when they acquired Obsidian, and then after the ZeniMax Bethesda thing. Like, oh my God, does this mean Obsidian could make a Fallout New Vegas 2? But then they announced that, okay, Outer Worlds 2 is going to happen, right? That they have Avowed, right? Then they have this Grounded thing that they're still working on with a small team. And it's in the preview now, but eventually it's going to get a full release. And I don't think they're going to stop working on that. They're going to keep working on it for years and years and years and keep building on it because it's a great game. And then they supposedly have another game that's in the works that we don't know about. So that's 4 projects with one team. And there was even talks about possibly another one, I think, like before. So just within that, it's like, okay, where do they fit this in? Now, because this is being discussed, makes me wonder when is Avowed actually going to hit?
Right.
Because Avowed maybe maybe sooner than some of us anticipated. Maybe
Jez just said Q1 2023, right? That was his guess.
Was it? Okay, so
I think so.
That's not that far off, guys. That's like a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a big time project, big RPG, the one that they were already working on at the time of that acquisition, right? So this has been in the works for a while. This is Avowed is going to be the biggest RPG, first person, third person, open world game that they've ever made, right? So, is this potentially the next project for that team after Avowed?
Correct.
I would say it would make sense because they've already announced Outer Worlds 2, which they got another team working on, or that's been in pre-production. So they're gonna be. Is Obsidian gonna at the end of this all gonna be looked at as like, wow, that was a good get?
Well, yeah.
Like, wow, like that was because we haven't seen the fruits of it yet, besides Grounded, right? But we're going to see within a few years, which remember they said that they want to get a game out a year.
Yes.
Obsidian wants to get a game out a year. So if that happens next year, then that means we could expect one potentially 2024, 2025, 2026, and so on. If
Avowed team started, let's say they do a start, let's say it comes out to 2023, they start right away on New Vegas 2, well, that would be perfectly lined up for that 5th year down the road, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right? So you're looking at this and like, wow, man, it's like all lining up and making a lot of sense now, the roadmap, and they're going to have this team pumping out these huge RPGs this frequently. That is something that no other platform can offer. And then you add on the Bethesda Game Studios games like Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6. Then you got Fable. Man, like RPG fans have nothing. Western RPG fans, anyway, have nothing to complain about over in the game set if you're a subscriber to Game Pass, because the future's bright on this, man. It's absolutely crazy, dude. But yeah, Fallout New Vegas, dude. Is it your favorite? Or
yeah, it's my favorite Fallout. Yeah, it's my favorite Fallout. Obsidian just is so special with their character development, right? So is Bethesda, obviously. Again, I love Bethesda. God, Howard and A-Team are the best. But Obsidian's been there, as a close second for me personally. Yeah. And I always said that given the right chance, which we're seeing right now with Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, you're going to see Obsidian now be talked about right alongside that A-Team over at Bethesda. And I truly believe that. I don't know if their games, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if their games, we'll have to wait and see what Avowed is. A lot of people, Jez has said that he thinks it's more Outer Worlds like in scope than it is Skyrim in scope, right? So I don't know if Obsidian's ever going to create the scope that a Bethesda A-Team does and Todd and his crew do. But I think Obsidian, as far as character development, as far as story goes, as far as decision making goes, as far as all that goes, they're going to be talked about right with Bethesda as some of the best Western RPGs makers in the world because of that. You go back and play Outer Worlds, and I had restarted Outer Worlds, and I got to get back to it again. God, man. Cyberpunk, Outer Worlds, Elden Ring, oh my God. And I went back to Outer Worlds because I was about 20, 25 hours in, and I deleted my entire save and started over from scratch. And when I did that, and I've talked about this here, is that, man, you forget, just like going back to Skyrim, sometimes if you don't play these titles because they come out so infrequently from these studios, but when you go back and play a certain studio's game, like those two, like a Skyrim, like an Outer Worlds, you remember the reason why these are some of the best developers in the entire world real quick. Like, it is apparent there are not too many games that can pull off what they do. And I think that's what we're going to see from Obsidian here, is that chance to move up into that upper echelon if people don't already consider them there. Again, I have so many, they created some of my favorite, sequels of all time. Again, New Vegas 2, or New Vegas, I mean, which was not a direct sequel to Fallout, but you know what I'm saying? It's a spin-off, but they did, it's one of my favorite Fallout. Then you got Neverwinter Nights 2, freaking amazing. You got KOTOR 2, my favorite KOTOR. A lot of people love 1 and still claim it's the GOAT. I can hear it. I just love Knights of the Old Republic 2. Why? The characters in Knights of the Old Republic 2 I liked a little bit more than I did in 1. Again, that's Obsidian. So they've developed this whole process. But you're right, Mav. I think at the end of the day, what you're seeing here is Obsidian is going to be one of Microsoft's. They're going to have so many, right? They're going to have so many are going to come out of the blue because of this acquisitions that they had, whether, you know, it doesn't matter who it is. They're given a chance finally to work and be creative without any restrictions. You're going to see a lot of these teams pop up with Game of the Year quality type games. That old problem that Microsoft had of not having the quality. Well, guess what? You now got so much talent. You're going to be pumping out quality nonstop. And Obsidian is going to do that for you. But this is exactly what I wanted to hear, Mav. I wanted to hear about some of the different partnerships that could happen. And let's say they get done with Avowed. Let's say Avowed is received critically like amazing and it does extremely well. And they want to start on Avowed 2 right away. Okay, so now what do you do with New Vegas, right? What if they got to keep the Avowed A team? What if this is like your new Elder Scrolls? Like this is another franchise you're going to continue with. So you got to start on Avowed 2 right away. Like you have ideas, you're ready to rock and roll. Well, I think what you do then is you just take, because they're still hiring. Bethesda's still hiring, Obsidian's still hiring, all these studios are still hiring. So this is, again, Microsoft and Xbox are in growth phase all across the board. So they're bringing in more talent all the time. So what you do is you pull some people off, maybe get a small team of Bethesda people, small team of Obsidian people, and get them together just to start the beginning work on New Vegas 2. Because of course you don't need a whole crew to do the write-ups, to do the storyboarding, to do all of that kind of stuff. You can design that whole world before you have to actually bring in the big crew to really work on the development process. So just get that small group together, continue to hire, continue to build out, and all of a sudden you got yourself another whole entire team. Maybe, which is what I originally said when this acquisition down, maybe some of that does happen where they take a little mix of this studio, a little mix of this studio, some 3 people who want to work on a certain project, bring together. Also, you got another new studio that forms out of that. And they specifically are working on a certain IP, right? So you could certainly do that. And in the meantime, there's just a lot of ways to go about here, but man, there's just so much, Mav. It's hard to believe we're here.
Yeah.
After all those years, man, just thinking about what's coming. And like I said, I know there's a lot of people out there saying, but I've been waiting for so long. Look, last year we still just got Halo and Forza, and we got Gears Hive Busters. So we got the Gears, Halo, and Forza.
and Psychonauts and Flight Sim on console.
Correct. But I'm saying,
and Age of
I understand all that. But just hold on for you've held on for this long. Hold on for a little bit longer. They're almost there. Starting next year, barring some catastrophe, they will have games in the beginning of the year, throughout the entire year till the end of the year. We are not going, barring setbacks, barring something catastrophic, we are not going to have another year like this or like last year where the spring and early summer is dry from first party titles. This is the last time we're going to have to go through this for the absolute forever. Okay. If everything works out properly, they get Activision Blizzard. I can almost guarantee you we will never have a dry part of a year from Microsoft first party studios again for the rest of our days. Okay. I can say that almost with 100% confidence, right? Because they're just going to have so much coming out. So just hold on a little bit longer, people. Just hold on, gamers. We're almost there.
And then hold on when it starts dropping, hold on to your hats because it's going to be freaking crazy.
Buckle up, hold on to your pants.
Yeah, it's like
it's going to get.
This is like a roller coaster, right? Okay, like I've used this analogy before. We're still on that incline, you know. It's like tick 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 tick.
We can see the top.
Like we're like at the cusp of the top here, right? Right. We've had a little dip here with the last holiday, and we're almost at the top. We're about to put our hands up in the air. We're about to start screaming like crazy, little fanboys that we are, and being this this blissful ignorance of amazing games for the longest roller coaster ride that you've ever been on, and it only cost you $14.99 for Game Pass Ultimate. Anyway,
exactly.
That's crazy. The even crazier thing is everything we're talking about you're gonna get in a subscription service that's very affordable. They got a couple super chats to get to real quick, Pong.
Yep.
First off, shout out to Drawn TJ. Appreciate you very much, sir. Thank you for a $5 super chat. He says, "Hi guys, it would be nice to see Vigilante 8 come back and Blur Prototype. They got a lot out of this deal. Yeah, they got a lot. You're gonna see some revisited IPs. You're gonna see new IP. You're gonna see remasters. You're gonna see back compat stuff. Remember the back compat team said they're done, right? That was before Activision Blizzard was acquired. You spend $70 billion, it may change your philosophy on doing some things within your ecosystem. Also, Chris Jones with the $5 super chat as well. Thank you, Chris. You're amazing, dude. He said, like I said in an article I wrote speculating about Fallout 5, could have inXile and Obsidian and Bethesda with small teams work together on Fallout New Vegas 2. Yep, I have 100%. Chris Jones and I were separated at birth at some point with our brains because him and I think almost exactly alike. And guess what?
It's pretty hilarious.
All those teams have ties together back in the Interplay days.
Yep.
The heads up of those studios came from the same people, except for Bethesda. Bethesda actually acquired the rights to Fallout from them.
Correct.
Which, because they were such fans. Todd Howard was like, I want to make a post-apocalyptic RPG. And he was like, well, Fallout's available. That's like one of my favorite things. Let's go get that, you know?
Yeah. And then what did inXile do, and how good is inXile, which we never even talk about? Oh, well, we sold off Fallout. We'll just go create Wasteland.
Yeah, Wasteland.
Make Wasteland a huge thing.
Bard's Tale, you know?
Yes. God, man. Wait.
And now we have another big, huge game that's bigger than anything they've ever created, they said. And they have 2 projects in the works. I mean... This is insane, guys. They got a new studio. They've been hiring as well, and nobody's even talking about inXile. Not only that, but they also did some kick-ass DLCs for Wasteland 3 last year. Or after E3 last year is when they announced that, I think, right? Chris Jones with the $5 super chat. Oh no, that's the same one. Sorry. Same one. Okay, but also I wanted to point out something that's a pipe dream for me because we're talking about Obsidian so much. Okay. The Xbox Sega partnership, you know, we're starting to see Sega games come to Game Pass Day 1 a little bit here and there. You know, you got the Super Game Initiative, all this stuff. You know, they're kind of talking quite a bit. You know, they're not doing anything.
I saw your tweet here, Bav, and I put the tweet out with them as well. So yes,
they're not doing anything with it right now. They even delisted it, you know, from Steam and stuff because they didn't feel like renewing the licenses and stuff from the music supposedly and things like that. But you got this game. You got this game that was never fulfilled to its promise because of budget reasons and other things back in the day. But this was a game that was Obsidian's original creation back in the 360 days. I was so hyped for this thing. Talking about a spy RPG, right? A la Mass Effect style kind of spy RPG back in the day.
James Bond RPG.
Yes, I was thinking, wow, what is this thing? And I remember getting all the gaming magazines and all this stuff for this. I was like so hyped. Alpha Protocol. It released. It was kind of an unfinished mess, honestly. But it was still amazing. It had so much amazing stuff to it that I could just imagine this today, what they could do with Alpha Protocol. The promise that game had. Oh, man. So, hey, I just put it out there. Sarah Bond, you know, Phil Spencer, Sega, Xbox Games, Publishing, whatever you guys got to do. Work together, you know, get with Obsidian. Say, hey, let's make this Alpha Protocol thing work, right? We could do it.
I just re-picked it up for the Xbox 360 and the Strat Guide, and I restarted playing that as well. So, and it is as buggy and as rushed as that game is, and you can tell the core part of that game is still to this day And yes, I know it's in 30 frames. And yes, it's on the Xbox 360. It's not backwards compatible. So yes, I know all of that, but I don't care. I can still play those games and I don't have a problem. The core part of that game is so good, Mav. There's so much there. Again, playing it and understanding the limitations of what they were dealing with back then and what they could do now with a game like that, brother, oh boy, would it be one of the most unique experiences out there. Still, nobody has pulled off a spy RPG like that in any way, shape, or form. So that is a genre waiting to happen. Yes, we're going to get Perfect Dark, which is going to have some elements of that to it, right? But an actual straight up Western RPG spy James Bond simulator, man, oh man. And we both know, because we saw the old tweets, man, Obsidian did tweet at Sega at some point about, hey, what about that old IP?
Yeah.
Like, because that was a couple years ago when Sega had talked about their new mission to go back to their back catalog and start reviving some of their old IP. And Obsidian was one of the first tweets underneath them going, you say? What? So I'm, like you said, man, with the relationship between Sega and Xbox now, and even stronger, growing stronger, they're not doing anything with that IP, like you said. Why not? Pick it up. If Obsidian wants to do it, hell, grow them another 100, give them another 100, find another 100 developers, bring them on board. Like, it's just that easy. But you know what I'm saying? Go out there, keep hiring, let another team start on Alpha Protocol, current gen. Boy, oh boy, I can guarantee you that would be a hit. Guarantee it.
Yep. 100%.
Yep. So, Mav, stay on Grub real quick here.
Yeah. Oh, he had more. He had more stuff.
Yeah, Grub had a little bit more. Now he clarified some of the tweets that again, it's always difficult if you're not. That's why I usually go back and listen to Grub, because when he talks, and the same thing goes for Jez, when he says things, people run with it, and it's a game of telephone. And by the time it gets to Twitter, all of a sudden it's like, they guaranteed this, right? And it's like, oh, go back and listen to it. Well, I haven't had a chance to listen to Grub Snacks because it's behind a paywall. For anybody who doesn't know, he does a thing with Giant Bomb now, Grub Snacks, a weekly show, but it is behind a paywall. So people are pulling this and transcribing it from that paywall. So I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but he came out and clarified. So the tweet is that Grub said that the Microsoft, Xbox are going to go back and remaster some of their classic franchises like Gears of War, like Fallout, like Elder Scrolls. They're going to go back to do the catalog, and they've already got plans to do this. Okay, Grub came out on Twitter, corrected, and said, he goes, I was simply speculating this is going to happen. So take it for what it is. Grub is saying that he's not saying this was a for sure done deal, but he is speculating that this is happening. Now, combine that, Mav, with the rumors from last year that we heard that Bethesda had started up a new studio specifically to go back through their old games and remake them. And we had discussions about that on various shows as well. But you put those two together, maybe there's something here, Mav. That smoke again might have just gotten a little bit thicker. Mav, you hear this? Xbox thinking about, at least speculation by Jeff Grubb, that Xbox is considering going back, taking some of the biggest franchises, remastering them, bringing them forward to current gen for a whole new experience, for a whole new generation. Brother, you got to be excited about that. There's got to be a couple classics you'd love to see come forward, huh?
Oh, dude, the possibilities of this are endless. Remember, like, also there was supposedly something was getting like the Master Chief Collection treatment, right?
Yes.
So that was another thing that has been thrown out there. So that leads me to believe, okay, well, maybe it was like one of these massive franchises that are going to be getting a like true collection multiplayer wise. Now, when Xbox says they're going out, or when they do announce this, if they do announce it in the future, Like I'm curious what is going to be the first games that would get that, right? Because it's got to be something that you got to do like over time. You can't just like drop it all at once. This would be an ongoing project, right? Of
Correct. Yeah,
like,
this would be
okay,
like a yearly kind of thing, or a couple of years
yeah.
we get a new remake from the back catalog.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it has, with game preservation and all these things, like reliving, bringing these games to a new audience and all this kind of stuff is very relevant. Like Demon Souls, it worked well for at PlayStation. You know what I mean? And I think that you're gonna see some franchises that maybe we didn't ever think of get this kind of treatment, right? As well, but he in his tweet it said like all major franchises. I think is what it said. Like,
Yeah.
and that leads you to think, okay, well, what do they got? All major franchises because they already did the Quake remaster, right?
Yep.
You got the old Dooms, right? You got freaking the Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New
Morrowind.
Vegas. You got Morrowind, Oblivion.
Can you imagine Morrowind in current day? Oh, brother, if they did like a full remake.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm an Oblivion guy more than like
Right,
any of the others.
right, and you could do with Oblivion too, right? Do both of those. You're printing gold at that point.
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna buy so much
Oh.
horse armor. It's gonna be crazy. I mean, come on, dude. Just the possibilities of this is like endless because these games, when you put this treatment on, a lot of them feel new. And I don't know like at what level of work he's talking about. That's the other aspect because there's like
correct
remasters like the Nintendo style,
right?
And then there's like remasters like we got with Activision Blizzard's or Activision's Tony Hawk game last year, which was excellent, right?
Yep.
So if it's more of that, I'm cool with that. Now, the other aspect of this is once this Activision Blizzard team goes down, you have teams that are over there that are already used to doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So you're already adding potentially another studio that can work on these kind of things, right? And a lot of these studios may be like, cool, I get to work on a freaking old, like, let's say, like, what, Cameo?
Yeah.
Or like Banjo, or whatever. Like, whatever. You could think of so many different games. I mean, Jade Empire. Could you get like I don't know, does Xbox actually own the rights to Jade Empire? Or is it BioWare? But
I think it's BioWare that actually owns the IP.
Screw off, BioWare. Come on, damn it. That ain't gonna happen then. Man, I just feel there's so many possibilities that could happen with this and games. And remember, like again, you guys think, well, I don't want to buy all these remasters and stuff. This is stuff you're gonna get in the service. It's gonna be all in Game Pass, so you get to try things that maybe you never tried before, or people that overlooked franchises in the past never got into them. This is going to give people a chance to give them another chance, give them another shot. I hope this is true because we've talked about this actually in a topic last year. Xbox needs to have a couple studios that are isolated just specifically for this purpose because it's working. It's a very popular thing. They need to bring back some of these dormant IPs and dormant franchises and stuff. So if this is the sign of that happening, yeah, dude, I'm all for it, man. But what would you pick? Like, what would be your first one?
Oh, if we're talking about number one, let's take a look. Remember when the Marcus Phoenix collection was trending? When that actually just appeared out of nowhere and everybody got it trending. Look, the first 3 Gears, fully remade, Unreal 5.
Oh yeah,
by the Coalition. Brother, again, you're printing money at
that's
that
got to be
point.
something they're working on now.
It's got to be. It has to be. I can't. Especially if they just did it straight up and didn't touch the multiplayer and try to change the if they went back to that classic style multiplayer, do you know how many people would be back on board again with that? Mm-hmm. Again, it stayed. Gears is big. Gears is still big to this day. But going back to those original 3, especially the generations that missed out on the original 3, my God, you're talking about just printing money. So I think the Marcus Phoenix collection is probably already in the works, and I think it has to happen. I just want to, again, I don't have a problem if they go the Mass Effect route and they just bring it up to more current gen. They do a good job with it, and I trust the Coalition. I think it would be still fantastic. But if they go from ground up and just do an Unreal 5 conversion for those 3, they will be like brand new games. I will go back and play them as much as I originally did. I can guarantee you that. So that's a huge one to me. But but I already said mine. Morrowind needs to come forward. That game is underappreciated because of the time it came out. Video games were nowhere near as big as what they are now. Obviously, to go back, you can play it. It's in Game Pass. I've done it. I've gone back and started it again. It's not good at all. Like it's too old. Like like it's good. You can see it, but it's not. But then you go online and you look at what the modding community has done with that old engine and what they've been able to create in Morrowind. You're talking about at least somewhere between Oblivion and Skyrim quality.
Yeah.
Bringing that thing forward. Now imagine Bethesda gets a team together. If they did create that studio that we heard about that's going to specifically do this stuff, going back, brand new creation engine, redoing the assets, bringing the world is nowhere as near as big as Oblivion or Skyrim. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to take as long to do it, right? It's not going to be this gigantic, kind of it's still going to be hard. Again, look at me. I'm not even a dev and I talk like this, but anyways, it's not going to be this gigantic project that like say upgrading Skyrim would be, right? Yeah. Let's just say Skyrim 10 years from now needs to be upgraded. It's not going to be like that. To have a team go back and do Morrowind in proper form and give it the proper light. There are still old gamers to this day that do say Morrowind is the best out of the bunch. Now, I played it so long ago. It's when I first got my first experience in Elder Scrolls, but I didn't own an OG Xbox. I had borrowed my buddies, and it was one of the games I sat down and played, fell in love with instantaneously. But at the same time, it never got to the level of Oblivion and Skyrim did for me. But to see it come forward and have that opportunity, I think it could. And again, you said Elder Scrolls Morrowind is being remade tomorrow from ground up in our brand new creation engine. We want to bring the story back to life again for everybody and for all the generations that never once has been able to touch Morrowind. Bro, you're talking about a seller. You're talking about the gigantic numbers. Just look at what Skyrim's done through the years. Look what the Anniversary Edition did just recently, even though everybody's owned multiple copies. You put that out there, you're going to have an instant seller. So it makes financial sense because, again, at the end of the day, this is still business. Morrowind would be my one. I think that would absolutely blow everybody out of the water. Wow, what a time to have it. Like I have another Elder Scrolls game that basically would be brand spanking new that a lot of people have not played before. It'd be like getting like a brand new, it would be a smaller experience, but it still would be a grand Elder Scrolls adventure. To have that just come out of the blue, man.
And plus, with what they're talking about, you could probably enable modding on mods on it on Xbox too.
Correct. It'd be absolutely, because Phil said he wants to support more and more modding on the consoles. So, and owning Bethesda is the perfect way to do that because that's what keeps their games alive. A lot of ways is the modding community. The modding community fixes more bugs than Bethesda does itself. That's not a slight against Bethesda, but it's something that's been basically factually true. But the cool part is Bethesda respects that modding community so much they actually have hired people out of the modding community to come work for them directly. That's how much respect they have for that modding community. They've done some things that have pissed them off too. It's going to happen. It's still business, but there's not too many companies that do what Bethesda does with modding. So I'd love to see that come through and come to fruition, man. That'd be so fantastic. But yeah, like you said, Mav, when you start thinking about it, it's endless. And once Microsoft and Xbox get through with these acquisitions and they're really settled in and they've got, let's say by the end of all this, there's somewhere right around 60 dev teams or 60 studios and let's say 85, 90 teams total between all the studios. Why not create a studio or two from scratch that want to work on these old titles and bring them up to date? Why not at that point? Create them from scratch. You got plenty of talent. Why not? I'd say do it. Yeah. So I'm all about it, man. So much potential. Oh, man. Where do you want to go next? Mav?
Oh, geez.
Got anything on your list that you want to talk about? You want to talk about the Elden Ring hype, which people in the chat are going on and about? So many people are trying are going either have tried Souls game in the past, like myself. I've tried many times to try to get into them because I love From Software, as I stated in the opening. And they're trying this one because the hype got to them, or because, we, as for as much as we say that review scores don't matter, but as we've talked about, Mav, there are exceptions. When it's universally loved or universally hated, that's when you can say that reviews come into play. Because generally speaking, if a big group of people from all different places, all different biases come together and say, we love this game or we hate this game, there's got to be either something majorly wrong or they've done something incredibly right. So obviously Elden Ring right now sitting at a 96 on OpenCritic. And for anybody who doesn't know, I use OpenCritic because it actually averages all the platforms together into one spot, whereas Metacritic separates them out, and you get something where Xbox has 10 reviews and PlayStation has 60 reviews because of the review code sent out, which is not fair. I like using OpenCritic. It's a 96. They got Metacritic. It's still at a 97. We're talking about generational score here, Mav. We're talking about, we haven't seen this score in a very, very long time. And I know you've been holding off. So you're coming from the perspective of, hey, I haven't decided to dive into this yet for reasons A, B, and C. But I'm seeing a lot of people in the community like me saying, all right. And I said this long before the scores came out. When they announced the open world is when I made the decision that I wanted to jump into this game. So did the hype hurt? No, of course not. The hype didn't hurt when I was deciding to push the purchase button at all. Of course, had the game come out as a 6, might have I backed off and said, nah, maybe we'll wait. Yeah, that probably could have happened. But since it came out the way it did, I had made that decision that this is going to be my final attempt at a Souls game. But I see a lot of people in the same boat. I see people that have never tried a Souls game jumping in because of how much praise and hype this is getting. So Matt, from your perspective, how big, how much are you wavering at this point? And what do you think from from these scores and from everybody talking about that? Like, this is that it is real. Like, this is like a game-changing type game that From Software has pulled off for the first time in their history, an open world, RPG with the Souls mechanics, and it works magically. What do you think, brother, about all this?
I mean, honestly, I expected it to do well. I expected it to review well, because all Souls games do, right? But not like this, So I've like you, I think I've actually bought every single Souls game. I think I've bought it. The only one I didn't buy was the Demon Souls remake. I remember getting Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. I remember getting Demon Souls originally, the first one that came out, yeah, I remember getting Bloodborne, Neo. I didn't get Neo 2. Sekiro I've played a little bit of, and I just have never really gotten super into one, right? Now I've dabbled and I've played, but none of them have really clicked with me to the point where I'm like in love with it. I play it and like, cool, this is all right, and then I kind of get sick of it after I get to a hard part. And it's not because it's like too hard. It's just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to play something else right now. I'm getting like annoyed or frustrated and losing patience, and then I don't go back to it because something else catches my attention, because I got that gamer ADD thing. I'm always jumping on to the next thing, The interesting thing about Elden Ring is that open world aspect and component changes a lot about that for me. Like, because for me, like, that component means you have more options of approach and ways and things to do. So if you are struggling getting past a certain area, you can like, okay, I'm going to go do something else for a while. Right. And that's the aspect that was missing for me in some of the other games, where it's like, okay, I'm not enjoying this boss fight. I'm not really enjoying this. It's kind of annoying to me. I'm just going to move on from it. Now, I can do that now, right? And then maybe come back to it later, I think I can anyway. Like, I've seen some of the reviews, yes, and it seemed like it's very approachable, but also still maintains that difficulty. And I've always actually appreciated that the Souls games are hard, I like that aspect of it, right? But I haven't liked the repetitive nature of it,
Mhm.
right? Because I lose patience and I get sick of playing the same thing over and over again at times, you know. So with this having a little bit of story there, going and exploring the exploration aspect, how beautiful the world is, um, all of meeting all the characters and having talking to all these characters around the world, and it's giving me a lot of things that I love about a lot of other franchises that I can see myself really investing into that kind of game. So I am going to bite the bullet and get it. I just don't know if I'm going to get it tonight or if I'm going to get it like next week or what, but for sure I'm going to bite the bullet on it and play it. But I want to play it for sure when I know I can sit down and invest several hours into it and not just, oh, I'm gonna try it out right now and then be done with it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
I want to sit down and be immersed and have like 6 to 8 hours just to sit there and play the game. Right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's when I'll get it, and we'll see. Maybe I won't be able to, and I'll figure it out and do it tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm gonna get Elden Ring. I promise. The hype's got me. The hype's got me.
Well, again, I've seen some people say that they're just not going to do it because they're not Souls fans at all. And I totally understand. Like I said, this will be my last one. If I can't get into this one, it's over with. I will go back to just enjoying watching people play them. I have watched a lot of people play a lot of Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Sekiro, Neo on YouTube because I enjoy the atmosphere, the what they do from a dark high fantasy standpoint with character design, with enemy design, with the entire world, the color palettes, all of it speaks to my heart. I like a lot of different fantasy worlds. I like colorful worlds, but I also like dark worlds. And for what from Software are masters at this point. And I've talked about that many times that I love studios that have been together for a very long time. And every time they put out a game, they learn something, they push the bar a little bit higher, whatever the case may be. And for me to see From Software go from more linear controlled styled maps that pretty kind of direct you. They don't hold your hand in any way, shape, or form. That's another part about Souls games is they don't hold your hand. You got to explore. Yep. You got to find your way. You're going to walk into enemies you shouldn't walk into. I love all those aspects, but to go from a controlled kind of more linear, not I say linear because it just compared to what they're putting out in Elden Ring style, and to nail an open world which changes everything about your game design, about how you're designing those boss battles, right? Which is the key to Souls games is the boss battles. To be able to nail that the first time out of the park in Elden Ring, to have a actually, I should say at this point, the majority of people who have reviewed your game say that this is one of the best experiences they've ever had. To me, that is incredible. That tells me that From Software now, even though they haven't been my style of game, even though I've appreciated them for what they are, you have to put From Software as one of the top developers in the world just because they're masters at what they do. And again, to take a leap, to push themselves to create something in a place that they've never done it before with this open world, and to pull it off this way, man, I just round of applause for From Software. Again, that's why I was willing to go and have this be my last one, because I said, okay, look, if they're going to do this, if they're going to make this open world, they're going to try this new thing, and they're going to make it more accessible in a lot of ways to people. It's still going to be Souls at the end of the day. People are already saying, hey, don't expect much more. But I did see a reviewer who said, if you are the exploring type and you do explore this open world and you go power up your character and get all the necessary equipment, that the boss battles can be a ton easier than a Dark Souls game. that speaks to me because you know me, man. I'm always
everywhere
but the main quest line, everywhere but the main boss. I like being OP when I walk into areas, so I'm going and finding everything. If that turns out to be true, now I've only seen it from one reviewer who really said this because he actually played that way. If that's true, I'm going to love this game because if I can go around, power up my character, get to the point where I can go up to the bosses and not be worried all the time about getting, 2-shot, 3-shotted, and I can actually destroy them fairly quickly, man, I'm all about this. Now, preface that with the fact that I'm not playing as one of the easiest classes, mind you. I am not starting my Souls experience in Elden Ring with one of the easy melee classes. No. This guy here is all about magic. So I'm starting with Astrologer. I'm going in full magic, which I know is a problem. I know it's gearing me up for an even harder experience, which I probably shouldn't do, but I'm going to do it because that's how I love to play my RPGs. You give me magic, I'm all in. So I'm going Astrologer. You can summon spirits to help you out, which is another big selling point to me. If I can create my own army and I don't have to be alone when I'm battling one of these big bosses, cool. I'm all about that. Give me my army. Give me my spirit army. Okay. That'll help out. So I'm looking forward to it. But again, shout out to From Software to have, just think about this for a moment, a little off topic, but same topic. Basically, everybody's already said this is game of the year, right? This is a generational score. Unless Breath of the Wild 2 launches this year and blows everybody's socks off again, which Zelda's always seem to do. And unless Starfield comes out and is again, Todd and his team are they've won Game of the Year awards, okay, for their titles. There are no rookies here.
Yeah.
But from the standpoint of straight score, from the standpoint of straight hype, Elden Ring had the hype from years ago up to launch, nailed the launch beyond people's expectations, get a generational score. So I think only Breath of the Wild 2, if it comes out this year and it's as good as expected as always, and Nintendo scores are off the charts and it gets a 97, 98, or Starfield comes out and does the same thing and is in the mid 90s for a Bethesda title, mid 90 game for a Bethesda launch title would be ridiculous. If those happen, you're talking about the potential for 2 to 3 generational games in the same year. Now, 2022, as much as we talk about, look, 2022 is going to be great, but really 2023, 2024, oh my God, just wait till we got what we got coming there. This could wind up being one of the greatest years in the history of video games now, right? And out the gate, 2 months into the year, we've already got a generational scored game here. Now we'll see if it lasts, if everybody else agrees, as the audience gets into it. Mav, does that not boggle your mind? This is that golden age of gaming, brother.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. There's so much good stuff, absolutely. Like, I just can't believe the amount of games that we're getting.
Mav, look at Caitlin's.
What? Make sure I start and stop. Did you get it for me? Babe. What? Heck yeah. All right, I'm installing it. Let me get it. I'm going to start installing it. I don't know what happened.
Here, everybody.
I don't know what happened.
The wife gifts Mav. Man, you must have answered all your text messages today.
I guess
really with you.
That's a good one. Yes, I guess I've been. Let me make sure. Hold on, real quick. Babe. Oh, babe. Oh, you're so sweet, babe. Thank you, babe.
You're the best, Caitlin.
No, dude, I'm so pumped, man. For that, plus also all the stuff coming. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's absolutely mind blowing. Starfield, you got this. Horizon Forbidden West came. Ghostwire Tokyo is about to come out. Gran Turismo 7 is about to come out. I mean, you got Forza Motorsport's probably coming this year. You got what else coming this year? You got Redfall coming this year. This is all just first party stuff, guys.
Right.
I mean, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. You got, I mean, games like King of Fighters 15 just came out. I'm enjoying the hell out of that. What a year.
Yeah.
And going forward, it's going to be this way, which is mind-boggling for me. Like, this is dream level stuff as a kid growing up. Like, I wonder if video games are going to be like this when I grow up. And we're living that shit. You know what I mean? We're in it, and it's actually real. Like, it happened. Dreams do come true for gamers, and they have. And we complain a lot, right? We nitpick a lot. We complain a lot. Bugs and all that stuff, right? But, like, man, it's just, we got it so good. We have it so good, honestly. It's absolutely insane. Yeah, generational games already hitting this early in this generation. Yeah, they're cross-gen.
And they're cross-gen too, yeah.
You know what I mean? They're cross-gen. Yeah. So we haven't even reached that next level yet.
Peak. Right, that peak, right?
Which is going to happen year 4, 5, 6 in the console generation. Like, that's when that's going to happen. And can you imagine then? It's going to be nuts, dude.
Right. Forbidden West, Elden Ring, possibly Breath of the Wild 2, Starfield, and then potentially God of War at the end of the year.
Yep.
Think about that. That's something for everybody across all platforms, and nothing but goodness. And then all the other in-betweens, right? All the stuff you're talking about, all the third-party stuff, all the stuff we don't even know about. Redfall could come out and be the best things since Borderlands 2, right? It could blow everybody's socks out of the water, right? Brother, 2022 could be the best year, and it's just the beginning. Like you said, we're still doing this with cross-gen titles in some instances. Man, this is crazy. Mind-boggling. Just absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it, man.
Unbelievable.
I wanted to give a shout out to From Software also. Cause, I mean, like, you talk about their level of success and consistently being good. I mean, their history goes back to 1994. How many game studios are out there still independent like this, making several games, like, and then putting out consistently high quality? I mean, I just wanted to shout out a couple of the games that they've developed, right? Armored Core. Okay, Armored Core. You got Otogi. There's a franchise called Kingsfield. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that. But they got several of those. They got Otogi. Now I'm just shout out to a game that is a cult classic to many people out there, Metal Wolf Chaos.
Yeah. Crazy.
They made that. 2 games that I personally loved on the 360. Okay. Now they didn't get they didn't get the wide praise that I think they deserved. However, these games were very special to me. Chrome Hounds and Enchanted Arms. Loved.
Ooh, I thought you were gonna go Ninja Blade.
Ninja Blade was cool. I liked Ninja Blade.
I love Ninja Blade.
But Enchanted Arms was like,
Enchanted Arms was cool.
I absolutely loved that game. I loved Enchanted Arms. Then you go on, and then they make they made some Tenchu games. Then they go on and make freaking Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and this whole genre. They invented this whole genre. Like, that's From Software deserves to be up there. Right now, eventually, are they going to potentially be acquired by somebody? You know what I mean?
I said if Sony acquiring them after the Elden Ring release would be a big move. Big move, and I could see it happen. Yeah,
huge. I mean, they're a Japanese studio.
Yep.
Like,
they've worked with them. They've worked with them directly for a long time. Miyazaki also, to jump off of your point about From Software, Miyazaki has to be considered one of the best out there in the world as well. He's got to be up there with the Todd Howards. The man joined the company in 2004 during Armored Core. He was named president in 2014. Look at the title since 2014, since he took over as president.
Yeah.
I mean, even before then, they had the history, but he's somebody who started with the company 18 years ago now at this point, worked his way up to president 2014. And you see what his leadership did in taking it to the next level. From his time point forward, but he is the brainchild behind almost everything there, and incredible. It's a lot like Todd Howard.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, dude, it's insane. One thing too about From Software is they've always made games for all the different platforms, right? Even if they do the deals. They haven't only exclusively worked with
No.
like one platform. Like other like third party studios sometimes can almost become second party studios because they only do deals with one. Then they eventually end up getting acquired. It's almost like they've made a point to, even though they're exclusives on the platforms, to still make games for each platform, right? Because like Xbox has had the Dark Souls, PlayStation had a Demon Souls, right? You had like things like Ninja Blade, on at 360 and stuff like that. So, yeah, From Software deserves a high level of praise across the board. Even if their games aren't for everybody, they have
Right.
always been 100% unique, creative games, right?
Yep.
And they're not very buggy either. Usually they launch and
Nope.
they work well, and
Correct.
they're complete. So yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, what you think, brother? With the 2 hour mark, anything else you got on the list at all?
Yeah, I got to install Elden Ring. That's it. So let's get the hell out of here.
Yes. Time to take a flight to New Zealand. Did Kate pick up your ticket on New Zealand too, or no?
I think she did. But I gotta install it.
Package.
Stay tuned tonight for some fire Elden Ring gameplay from this non-Souls fan on Xbox Series X.
Where you can witness a lot of death. Where you can witness Mav dying over and over.
You want to watch me cuss at the screen and potentially break a controller?
What class are you gonna go, Mav?
That's the thing. I like the Souls games classes always confuse me because they're different than the traditional names for classes. So I kind of want to go magic because when I was dabbling in Dark Souls 3 a little bit last time, I was really liking the fireball spell, like how quickly it was able to get rid of some of the enemies.
Well, that's astrologer. Then if you want to go pure magic, they also do have a melee magic class.
Like, what's the best battle mage?
Battle mage is going. Oh God, what name did they give him this time? I know which one it is too, because I got it. Oh God, I gotta look at the classes again.
I want to have like a shield and and like a weapon.
Well, the astrologer does start out with a shield and a small sword as well. You can use them, but everybody said, yeah, no, you really don't want to.
Stay away and use your fight.
Because the health, because the health thing, because they're so low on health. But the class that you want is let's see. Name chat. If you know it offhand, throw it out there.
So I like battle mages in games, and I also like man, I always give a shout out to Neverwinter Nights because it had the best class system ever in RPGs for me. Like, you could be like high level and unlock a secondary class at that point, right? That completely changed your style of gameplay, And I always like the like rogue classes when you have like the shadow rogue, and then you unlock that later. You get all this other subset of abilities and shit like that.
Confessor. Your confessor is definitely one you want to look at. That can be a melee mage class and I think confessor is the one that you want to use if you want to focus in on that. So
right on
that. Yep.
I confess. We'll go with that.
Yes, Dr. Dinglenut, confessor, correct. Thank you for backing me up on that one. So yeah, confessor is it. Man, I'm so happy for you, Mav. You get to do little Elden Rings. You were suppressing your hype, sir, because you didn't know if you were going to buy it or not. I saw the look on your face as soon as you realized Caitlin had bought it. Also, you could release all that happiness.
Yeah,
you're excited.
Did I have a goofy ass look on my face? I probably did.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you probably did.
That's
you
okay.
Did. Oh man, what a great show! Hey, chat, you guys are all amazing. Hey, Lahell Boy, thank you for stopping in. Dr. Dinglenut, Eternal Umbra, Chris Jones, of course, Mill, Noof Nukem in the house. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for dropping in here. 3-bit, always great to see you, sir. Razor NZ, good to see you. Caitlin, you're special. You just made your man very happy. Thank you. Splendiferous, brother, great to see you. Of course, the Rocket Warrior Gamecast is in here. Girl, it's always good to see you. Thank you for dropping in. What else we got? Spooky, of course, is in here as well. Awesome to see you, brother. Shizno Elite, thank you, sir, for dropping on in and joining us. Doovie is in the house. Who else we got here? Papa Woody, Goat Status, Who else? The blue one showed up in here earlier. Thank you, the blue one, for dropping on by. Crazy Louis Gaming. Your videos just keep getting crazier, brother. I don't know how much more you can do. I seriously don't. You are out there, but I love you. I love you all the same. It's Timmy was in the house. Good to see you, sir. Alvin, of course, dropped on in here. And I think I've got everybody. I shouted at everybody before, too. I think I've seen everybody. Thank you all for being here for PM and the PM number 16 already. Can't believe it, man. We've been doing this for 16 weeks, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's like 4 months.
I know, man. Just flies by. We just have such a good time showing up here on Thursday nights, but appreciate you all. Mav and I couldn't do this without all of you showing up
100%.
And each and every week. So thank you. Nothing but love and respect to each and every single one of you. But Mav, let's get out of here and play some Elden Ring. I got about 30 minutes, 45 minutes of character creation to do. So I got to get that done first.
I need your help with that. Like with the Souls game. Like that's one thing I always struggle with is the character creation in Souls games. And I never know if I am doing the right thing for what I want to.
Bro, you're asking the wrong guy.
Is there a Souls expert like out there? Come on, join our party. Help us out.
There's lots of Souls experts out there. So Steel is a Souls expert, but yeah, for sure. There's definitely plenty out there, and there's plenty of guides too. And Jez is going to put out a beginner's guide.
I don't have the patience. That's my problem.
I know.
I don't have the patience to read this shit. I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like I just can't. Like I honestly don't have the attention span to be able to read into this and look into on all this stuff because I won't retain it. I don't retain it.
If you do it enough, you will. That's part of learning.
Learning is hard. Chat?
Yeah, learning is hard. Except you want to play complicated games.
Well, they don't make them simple anymore, man. Like, it's, like their games are awesome, but you know, once I get into them and I learn the systems, it's fine. It's just like the character creation is the first damn thing you do, right? And it's like, oh, okay, I got to make some important decisions that are going to affect the rest of my life in this game right now.
Yes, right now.
Okay.
Don't worry, you can start over because you're going to die a million times anyway. So
you're right.
Just try it out. Matt, where can everybody find you? What do you got going on for the rest of the weekend here? You're going to be seeing me more, obviously, but what else is going on?
Yeah, dude. We're going to have fun tomorrow. Xbox Ultimate podcast tomorrow night at Friday night. I'm going to give you my full Elden Ring review.
Oh, hey, we didn't even jump in that.
I know.
That mess.
I'm gonna give you my complete review of Elden Ring, playing a few hours of it. Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a score.
It's gonna be scored and everything because I played enough of it to give a review at that point tomorrow, right? According to some people out there. But yeah, I will definitely not be doing that. Maybe give you some impressions tomorrow, Friday night on Xbox Ultimate. Tonight, I'll be streaming Elden Ring, I guess, thanks to my lovely wife. And yeah, check out FSP. We weren't able to do it last week, but yeah, FSP's happening on Saturday with Key and Fuzzy. We're gonna have a blast, talk lots of stuff. We're probably gonna get more into this Spartacus stuff, which we didn't even. It's like on the first thing on our title. I forgot to even mention it about the pricing model of Spartacus. So we're gonna bring that up on FSP and
another grub special.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, bro. We're gonna have some fun this week and playing games and everything. But yeah, fun speculation on Twitter, fun speculation here on YouTube, and we're gonna always do what we do and have some fun. Trying to bring you guys some awesome content. I appreciate all the likes and shares and subs to the channel. All the support. You guys are freaking awesome. Audio listeners, you guys are awesome too. Appreciate everybody out there. But Pong, enough of me. Where can everybody find your amazing shows that you're part of?
Yeah, so everybody already knows Pong Soul, Xbox, and Twitter. You can find me there. Look, if you missed RDX on Tuesday night, go check it out. I happen to be in there. Yeah. Go check out Outbreak podcast with Dave. I did an interview with him, and that went live this week as well. So go check that out if you want to hear some of my history and then some game talk about what's going on. in the video game world. Mav's been on there with him, and so has Boomstick. So awesome place. KhAos has been there as well. So really go check out Outbreak Podcast, growing channel. Man, Dave is just a really, really good dude, man.
Yeah, cool
so
guy.
please go check him out for sure. Otherwise, tomorrow night I will be on with this man right here again on Xbox Ultimate and the Great 8, or however many there are there tomorrow night. I will be there. Don't know what time, but I will be there for sure. I show up each and every week that I can. So be there tomorrow night. Saturday morning, Living Split Screen. If you didn't check out last week's show, please go check out Living Split Screen. Split Screen's all one word. Steel Rain, my brother from another, and I are on mission 1K this year. We want to get there. Again, we only do one show on that channel. That's it. So I know you're supposed to do a lot more content to build like Mav does here. We do one show because that's what we got time for between him and I. So go check it out. Bring a friend or two, tell a friend or two, and come see what you think. You don't have to stay for the whole entire show. It's 3+ hours. But if you like what Steel and I are putting down, please share it. Spread the wealth. Living Split Screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, Saturday morning. So get those alarms set. Be ready. Shop Podcast Saturday night. PTK Blam's channel. Another dude who deserves a lot more viewers than he has. Been doing it for 5+ years. PTK Blam is awesome. He was in the chat earlier as well. Shout out to you, brother. Fuzzy Belvedere, of course, a part of the family here as well with Mav. So please come see us tomorrow night, or Saturday night, not tomorrow night, Saturday night. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. That's the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. Tuesdays, back at it, Xbox Factor Podcast. Although I might not be there this week. I got to talk to Boom about that. Xbox Factor Podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Mav will be there if he can. Archimedes, Mr. Joanna Dark. Yeah, okay, all right. Boom, if you're listening, we'll talk to you.
Yeah, sorry, man.
Xbox Factor Podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Check it out there on Tuesday. Otherwise, back here again next Thursday. And there'll be one more announcement next week. I will be on another show next week. They haven't announced it yet, so I won't give it away as of yet. I always like let them do it first. So, but it is the golden age of gaming, people. It is Elden Ring Eve, or if you're in New Zealand, like Mav or like me, and Mav's going to join me there in a moment, you can play it. So guess what? Go enjoy Elden Ring. Or if you're not an Elden Ring fan, Souls fan, totally get it too. Go enjoy all these other games that are coming out, and they're already out. It is the golden age of gaming. Play what you love what you play. Let nobody steal your hype or tell you shouldn't enjoy something. Have a great rest of your week, folks, and we're going to talk to you all real soon. Thank you for coming out. This is PM in the PM. Pong and Mav in the PM. We are out of here, folks.
See you in New Zealand, everybody. That was bad. Bye. Bye.
Bye.